Hello and welcome, everybody. We are getting started in about 1 minute. You can start dropping your comments in the chat. Very excited to learn together and work together today. This is our first ever time trying LinkedIn Live for an event, so would love your feedback and tell us what you want to learn in future episodes. We're going to focus in on how businesses can think about AI and integrate it for their company and their team. So that's what we'll kind of talk about. Often we do webinars and just invite people, but we thought this might be a good way to get more people exposed and interested. And it's such an interesting topic, which is AI for business. So I'm going to jump in and get started, but I would love for you in the chat. Tell me where in the world you're calling in from. So if there's questions, you can help one another as well as throw questions out. Let's go ahead and get started and we'll give it a shot. Our first ever LinkedIn Live AI for business. Really excited to have you all here. So what I want to do today is actually help you all become centaurs. So a centaur is that mythical creature, combination horse and human. I think about AI as a centaur. It's going to augment you. It's going to be a combination, right? So it's not going to replace, it's not going to necessarily be separated. It's more of an integration where you're going to be using your superpowers and hopefully doing things that you want to do and let AI do the things you don't want to do. Now, there's this really interesting tension where lots of people are using AI. So in the United States, almost half of Americans are using AI. You can see on the graph here, the bright blue uses it once a week. The dark blue is every day. And then the light blue is have used it, but not in the last week. So a lot of people are using it every week, especially in the areas of math, management, business, what we're going to talk about today. And when you look at what tasks it's being used for, it's a lot of the usual suspects. So it's being used for writing, for admin, for translation summarization, for search, for coding. So these are some of the ways that people are taking action and getting use from AI. So the interesting thing here is that AI feels like it's moving very quickly because it is. So this is a graph of how quickly AI has been adopted. So AI feels like it's moving quickly because it is. You can see the adoption curve of AI versus the internet or the computer. And you can see in about 2 years, almost 40% of people have adopted it. So really quick, high adoption rate. What's fascinating though, is that most businesses aren't using it. Fewer than 5% of businesses are using AI for their products and services. So we have this fascinating tension that over 40% of people are using AI, but fewer than 5% of businesses are using AI, which doesn't make any sense, right? Because those 40% of people work at those businesses. And so what we really have is robots in hiding. There are robots in your companies. There are robots next to you that you don't know about. And it's because people don't know if they should tell their boss, if they should tell their colleagues. And this is what I want to solve today is how do we help businesses bring the talent and the AI knowledge into the forefront, actually take it out of the closet into the open so that everyone in the company can benefit. So I know we had a little bit of choppy video there. Hopefully it looks like the lack of videos may be helping. But in the chat, give me a 1 if you would say your business, whatever that means, is using AI. Give me a 2 if you would say it's not. And this would be just for your business, right? You might be using it personally, but give me a 1 if the business is promoting or teaching or supporting, and give me a 2 if it's not that case. Kind of interesting to sort of see how people are seeing it. So my goal is that AI in a company should help you do what matters. So we want AI to do laundry and dishes so that you can do art and writing, not for AI to do art and writing so you can do laundry and dishes. And what I know is that there's a lot of laundry and dishes in our jobs, right? There's things that maybe we don't like to do, that we don't want to do. And we can actually use AI to take care of those so we can focus on things we're really good at. So let's talk a little bit about how to AI, and then we're going to dive into businesses and how to think about it. So a couple frameworks, a lot of you have probably heard me talk about the AI sandwich. This is how I approach AI. Think about any AI interaction is going to start with you, the human, and then we're going to have the AI do something. That's the meat and the cheese in the middle. And then you, the human, are going to come in again on the bottom. So you never take what the AI gives you and just start using it. It's more of a thinking machine than an answer machine, right? So you ask a question, you get ideas, then you ask another question, you get more ideas. So it becomes a club sandwich, perhaps, where you're giving and taking and sharing ideas. Now, we also want to think about within a business, one of the best ways to make use of AI is to bring AI into the room. And what that means is actually having AI in conversations. So when you're making strategy decisions, AI is like a colleague that you're going to ask the same question to. Or as you're getting feedback or coming up with ideas, ask AI at the same time. So think about it as another team member. And what's great is it can give missing perspective. So you can tell the AI to be the thing that's not in the room. So if you're marketing to millennials and you don't have any millennials on staff, you can ask AI to act as a millennial and give feedback, right? If you don't have a financial advisor, you can ask it to be a financial advisor. So often I say that AI is the second best option, right? If you have a financial advisor, use that. If you don't, use AI. If you have a lawyer, use them. If not, make AI your lawyer, right? If you have a designer, use them. But if not, use AI. So AI can really plug holes and help us kind of bring knowledge into the room. And when we use AI, I always tell people to think about the RIPE framework. So when you're going to ask AI a question, when you're going to do that sandwich, just give it a role. So tell it who to be, give it instructions, some parameters, and then some examples. So this is what it looks like in practice. If I'm going to go to ChatGPT or Claude, I'm going to say who it should be. So AI, you should be a friendly chef who loves Italian food, or you should be a financial analyst, or you should be a millennial, right? Then the direction is create a tasty pasta recipe, review these finances, give us feedback on our marketing, whatever the task is. Then give some parameters like provide meals with only 5 ingredients, give us 5 actionable financial steps, give us feedback in bulleted form in the voice of a millennial, whatever kind of the direction is. And then if you have an example, that's going to help it talk most clearly. So if you have an example of a previous financial analysis, previous recipe, a previous marketing plan, ask it to do that. Now, what I've seen in businesses as we bring this to AI in business is AI is a change management problem, not a technical problem. So we know that anyone can use AI if they can speak. So if you're able to write or speak, AI is accessible to you. There's not a technical gap, but there's a mental gap. People think that there's a technical gap, or maybe they feel like they're not qualified or that they shouldn't use it. And so we have to think about change management instead within a company. So the things that often stop us adopting AI is resistance, its resources, and its roles, or not having clarity in a role. So these are kind of the 3 R's that if we're going to bring AI into business, we need to tackle. I think this reflects really interesting in this study from Upwork, or a survey. They saw that nearly half the workers said they have no idea how to get productivity from AI. And 3/4 of them who were told to use AI actually saw decreased productivity. This speaks to that idea of resistance, resources, and roles. If we're not told how to use it or given permission to use it, if we're not taught how to use it, if we're not given a clear direction, then AI is not going to help us in our role. So if you're a boss and just turning AI is not going to solve the problem. If you're a worker, you need to speak up and find ways you can use AI and share those, right? So we need to have AI come from the grassroots rather than the top down. So I've found 4 ways that businesses can overcome this resistance. So the 4 things that I've seen work is talking and hitting privacy head on, using your own knowledge, having clear apps that solve clear problems, and then having a workspace. And these can come in different ways. Now, all of these are things that we have built into the product that I founded called Chip. So you're right now on the Chip LinkedIn page. If you're not already, would love for you to follow. We love talking and teaching about AI, and we have a product that helps people use AI. So we think about Chip as an easy AI workspace for businesses. That could be a one-person business. Maybe you're Ricardo and you're consulting and you're using Chip to build cool apps. Or maybe you're Ahmad or Sandeep and you're working within a company and you're teaching colleagues to build apps, or you're building apps for your colleagues to work more efficiently. All of that's really done well in Chip. So one of the things we've learned from speaking with over 6,000 developers who are using our platform and watching them work is privacy is something that blocks companies from actually integrating AI. So the way that we've approached privacy is thinking about it a little bit like a pyramid. So there's kind of 4 steps you can take that get more and more private. And you can decide within your business or whoever you're working with, how far down the privacy road you need to go. So the first and easiest way to integrate privacy is to just have clear best practices. So all you need to do within a company is have a few rules that you set and tell everyone, if you're going to use AI, do these things and don't do these things, right? So if you're using AI, don't include maybe customer names. Don't include maybe financial information. Do use this folder, right? So maybe you have a folder on your OneDrive or on Google Drive, and you say anything within this folder we can use, right? So think about just best practices. Obviously, that's not going to stop a mistake, but a lot of times just telling people how to use it gives them permission to get started. And that's a really powerful first step. The second thing you can do is actually turn on personal information protection and prompt protection. So sometimes people might not remember, they might make a mistake, they might share information that they don't mean to. That's where the personal information protection, or PII, comes into play. So with Chip, you can turn on PII protection, which basically means if someone types in a name or an address, social security number, phone number, it'll be automatically starred out or removed. So what we do is we star out that information. When you send your question or your information to the AI tool, it gives you the answer, it brings it back, and then we can put that information back in. And so we want to think about how we can use PII protection so people don't accidentally share something that's not helpful or that's against kind of the policy. The second thing we can do is actually protect the prompt so people don't jump in and try to get the information that you're using to train the AI tool. So that's kind of the second level of privacy. The third level of privacy, I would think about file storage. So where is information stored when you upload documents? By default, if you upload them to OpenAI or Claude, it's going to be stored on those services, which is fairly safe, right? They're based in the US, they adhere to the best practices. But for many businesses, you need to keep it local on your own cloud. So what Chip allows you to do is actually keep files on your own server and not share them out. So that's kind of the next level of privacy. The top level is actually protecting the questions themselves, right? So when you're asking things to an AI, those questions are going to OpenAI or Claude or whichever company. And some people want to just have those questions kept locally. So that would be called on-prem AI, where you have AI running in your own infrastructure. And in that case, you're running your own AI tool, not using OpenAI or Claude. That requires an open source model that you bring into your infrastructure. The popular ones would be Llama, built by Meta or Facebook, and Mistral, which is another open source tool. What we've seen is the quality is slightly lower than the most advanced models, but it's going to give you very good results if you need that privacy. So that's kind of how we think about that. Welcome, J-Bro. Good to have you. Welcome, Ricardo, Sandeep. Apologies if the audio isn't great. I'm so bummed about that. We're going to be looking into how to improve performance here. But right now, I think it's about as good as I can get it. So I'm going to keep going and hopefully the connection here improves. So thanks for jumping in. But we'll keep trying more of these. This is our first attempt at LinkedIn. So I'm doing our best. So privacy is the first thing that prevents businesses from using AI. The second one is actually, or that helps overcome resistance. The second thing that helps overcome resistance is actually using your own knowledge. So AI will perform better when you train on your information, right? It won't sound like a robot. So one of the things you can do with AI tools, regardless of the tool, is actually upload information. So here's a look at some of the knowledge sources you can use with Chip. If you're using Copilot or ChatGPT or Claude, you can upload files as well. And I would recommend doing that as your RIPE framework. So when you're telling it how to behave, you want to upload a file and actually tell it to base its information on that file. That'll improve performance and overcome resistance for people who think AI is robotic and not specific. Now, the third way to overcome resistance is to actually build AI tools that solve specific problems. So I think about AI as you have your world knowledge, which is like ChatGPT. Then you have your personal knowledge, which is like your calendar and your notes. And then you have apps that are built for specific use cases. This is like sharing your information with other people. And so this is a powerful use of building a custom GPT, some people would call it. Some people might call it an agent. In this case, you can build a specific app for a specific use case. By doing this, the user doesn't have to do anything. They can just take advantage of your app. So the fourth way to overcome the resistance then is by having a clear workspace where everyone can share. So an AI workspace might be a shared document where you share your best prompts. It might be a shared workspace in a tool like Chip where you're actually collaborating on an application. Or it could be like a skunkworks team. Some companies I've worked with build a group of employees that are going to test out AI together and then share out to the rest of the team. So regardless of the approach, just having some place where you share the ideas from AI is one of the best ways to get started with AI in a business. So I do a lot of help with businesses at scottdavidmeyer.com. You can read about those in terms of consulting and training. I obviously help people integrate Chip into their businesses. So something I'm happy to do. So let me go ahead and stop sharing now, and we'll see if that improves the audio at all. I'll turn the video back on. And if you're still here, it looks like a lot of people jumped because of poor audio, but go ahead and let me know in the chat what questions you might have about AI in business. So it sounds like most people had to drop off. So for those of you who came, I wanted to thank you. This is obviously our first test, and it didn't go so well technically. So we're going to go ahead and work on the technology. And next time, we'll invite you in with a little bit smoother connection. But we thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you on the next LinkedIn Live.